Parshat Va'etchanan. I pleaded with Adonai at that time, saying, O Lord Adonai, you have begun to show your servant your greatness and your strong hand. For what God is there in heaven or on earth who can do deeds and mighty acts like yours? Please, let me cross over and see the good land across the Jordan, that good hill country and the Lebanon. But Adonai was angry with me because of you, so he would not listen to me. Enough, Adonai said to me. Do not speak to me any more about this matter. Go up to the top of Pisgah. Look around to the west and the north and the south and the east, and see with your eyes, for you will not cross over this Jordan. But commission Joshua and encourage and strengthen him, for he will cross over before this people, and he will enable them to inherit the land that you will see. So we stayed in the valley opposite Beth Peor. Chapter 4. Now, O Israel, listen to the statutes and ordinances that I am teaching you to do, so that you may live and go in and possess the land that Adonai, the God of your fathers, is giving you. You must not add to the word that I am commanding you, or take away from it, in order to keep the mitzvot of Adonai your God that I am commanding you. Your eyes have seen what Adonai did at Baal Peor, for Adonai your God has destroyed from among you everyone who followed Baal Peor. But you who held tight to Adonai your God are alive today, all of you. See, just as Adonai my God commanded me, I have taught you statutes and ordinances to do in the land that you are about to enter to possess. You must keep and do them, for it is your wisdom and understanding in the eyes of the peoples, who will hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what great nation is there that has God so near to them, as Adonai our God is whenever we call on him? What great nation is there that has statutes and ordinances that are righteous, like all of this Torah that I am setting before you today? Only be watchful and watch over your soul closely, so you do not forget the things your eyes have seen and they slip from your heart all the days of your life. You are to make them known to your children and your children's children. The day you stood before Adonai your God at Horeb, Adonai said to me, gather the people to me and I will make them hear my words, so that they learn to fear me all the days that they live on the earth, and so that they teach their children. You came near and stood at the bottom of the mountain while the mountain was blazing with fire up to the heart of the heavens, darkness, cloud, and fog. Adonai spoke to you from the midst of the fire. The sound of words you heard, but a form you did not see, only a voice. He declared to you his covenant, which he commanded you to do, the 10 words, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. Adonai commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and ordinances, so that you might do them in the land you are crossing over to possess. So be very watchful over your souls, since you saw no form on the day that Adonai spoke to you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire, so that you do not act corruptly and make for yourselves a graven image in the likeness of any figure, the form of male or female, the form of any animal that is on the earth, the form of any winged bird that flies in the sky, the form of anything that creeps on the ground, the form of any fish that is in the water under the earth, and so that you do not lift up your eyes toward the heavens and see the sun and moon and stars, all the heavenly hosts, and are drawn away and bow down and worship them. Adonai your God has allotted them to all the peoples under the heavens. But you, Adonai has taken, and he brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Egypt, to be a people for his own inheritance, as you are this day. Furthermore, Adonai was angry with me because of your words, and he swore that I would not cross over the Jordan, or enter the good land that Adonai your God is giving you for an inheritance. For I must die in this land. I am not crossing over the Jordan. But you will cross over and take possession of that good land. Watch yourselves so that you do not forget the covenant of Adonai your God, which he cut with you, and make for yourselves a graven image in the form of anything Adonai your God has forbidden you. For Adonai your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. When you father children and children's children, and have been in the land a long time, and you act corruptly, and make a graven image in the form of anything, and do evil in the sight of Adonai your God, provoking him to anger. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today that you will certainly be carried off quickly from the land you are crossing over the Jordan to possess. You will not prolong your days on it, for you will certainly be destroyed. Adonai will scatter you among the peoples, and you will be left few in number among the nations where Adonai will drive you. There you will serve man-made gods of wood and stone, which do not see or hear or eat or smell. But from there you will seek Adonai your God, and you will find him when you seek with all your heart and with all your soul. And when you are in distress and all these things have come on you, in the latter days you will return to Adonai your God and listen to his voice. For Adonai your God is a merciful God. He will not abandon you or destroy you, or forget the covenant with your fathers that he swore to them. Indeed, ask now about the former days that were before you, from the day that God created man on the earth, and ask from one end of the sky to the other, has there ever been such a great thing as this, or has anything like it been heard? Has a people ever heard the voice of God speaking from the midst of the fire as you have heard and lived? Or has any God ever tried to come to take for himself a nation from within a nation, by trials, by signs and wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, and by great terrors, like all that Adonai your God did for you in Egypt before your eyes? You were shown, so that you might know that Adonai is God, there is none other beside him. From the heavens he made you hear his voice to instruct you, and on earth he caused you to see his great fire. You heard his words from the midst of the fire. Because he loved your fathers, he chose their descendants after them. Then he brought you out from Egypt with his presence, by his great power, to drive out from before you nations greater and mightier than you, to bring you in to give you their land for an inheritance, as it is this day. So you will know today and take to heart that Adonai, he is God, in the heavens above and on the earth below, there is no other. You must keep his statutes and his mitzvot, which I am commanding you this day, so that it may go well with you and with your children after you, so that you may prolong your days in the land that Adonai your God is giving you for all time. Then Moses set apart 3 cities beyond the Jordan toward the east. There the manslayer might flee, who kills his neighbor unintentionally, and did not hate him previously. He may flee to one of these cities and live. Bezer in the wilderness on the plateau for the Reubenites, Ramoth in the Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in the Bashan for the Massonites. This is the Torah which Moses set before Bnei Israel. These are the testimonies and the statutes and the ordinances which Moses spoke to Bnei Israel when they came out from Egypt, beyond the Jordan in the valley opposite Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon, the king of the Amorites who lived in Heshbon, whom Moses and Bnei Israel struck down when they came out from Egypt. They took possession of his land and the land of Og, king of the Bashan, the 2 kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan toward the east, from Arior, which is on the edge of the Wadi Arnon, as far as Mount Sion, that is, Hermon, and all the Arabah beyond the Jordan eastward, as far as the sea of the Arabah under the slopes of Pisgah. Chapter 5. Moses called to all Israel and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and ordinances that I'm speaking in your hearing today. Learn them and make sure to do them. Adonai our God cut a covenant with us in Horeb. Not with our fathers has Adonai cut this covenant with us, all of us alive here today. Adonai spoke with you face to face on the mountain from the midst of the fire. I was standing between Adonai and you at that time to tell you the word of Adonai, because you were afraid because of the fire and did not go up the mountain. He said, I am Adonai your God, who brought you out from the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. Do not make for yourself a graven image, no image of what is in the heavens above, or on the earth beneath, or in the water under the earth. Do not bow down to them or worship them. For I, Adonai your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children on the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, but showing loving kindness to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my mitzvot. You must not take the name of Adonai your God in vain, for Adonai will not leave unpunished anyone who takes his name in vain. Observe Yom Shabbat to keep it holy, as Adonai your God commanded you. 6 days you are to labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Shabbat to Adonai your God. In it you are not to do any work, not you, or your son, or your daughter, or your slave, or your maid, or your ox, your donkey, or any of your livestock, or the outsider within your gates, so that your slave and maid may rest as you do. You must remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and Adonai your God brought you out from there with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore Adonai your God commanded you to keep Yom Shabbat. Honor your father and mother, just as Adonai your God commanded you, so that your days may be long and it may go well with you in the land Adonai your God is giving you. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness against your neighbor. Do not covet your neighbor's wife, nor desire your neighbor's house, his field, his manservant, his maidservant, his ox, his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. These words Adonai spoke to all your assembly on the mountain, from the midst of the fire, the cloud, and the fog. With a great voice, he added no more. He wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. As soon as you heard the voice from the midst of the darkness, while the mountain was blazing with fire, you came near to me, all the heads of your tribes and your elders. Then you said, Adonai our God has just shown us his glory and greatness, and we have heard his voice from the midst of the fire. This day we have seen that God speaks with man, and yet he keeps on living. Now then, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of Adonai our God any more, then we will die. For who is there of all flesh who has heard the voice of the living God speaking from the midst of the fire as we have and lived? You go near and hear all Adonai our God says. Then you tell us all that Adonai your God, our God tells you, and we will hear and do it. Adonai heard the tone of your words when you spoke to me, and Adonai said to me, I have heard the tone of the words that this people has spoken to you. They have done well in what they have spoken. If only there were such a heart in them to fear me and to keep all my mitzvot always, so that it might go well with them and with their children forever. Go say to them, return to your tents. But as for you, stand here by me, and I will tell you the whole commandment, both the statutes and ordinances that you are to teach them. And they will do them in the land that I am giving them to possess. So you must take care to do as Adonai your God has commanded you. Do not turn aside to the right or to the left. You are to walk in all the way that Adonai your God has commanded you, so that you may live, and it may be well with you, and you may prolong your days in the land that you will possess. Chapter 6. Now this is the commandment, the statutes and ordinances that Adonai your God commanded to teach you to do in the land you are crossing over to possess, so that you might fear Adonai your God, to keep all his statutes and mitzvot that I'm commanding you and your son and your son's son all the days of your life, and so that you may prolong your days. Hear therefore, O Israel, and take care to do this, so that it may go well with you, and you may increase mightily, as Adonai, the God of your fathers, has promised you, in a land flowing with milk and honey. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. These words which I am commanding you today are to be on your heart. You are to teach them diligently to your children, and speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and they are to be as frontlets between your eyes, and write them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Now when Adonai your God brings you into the land that he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give you great and good cities that you did not build, and houses full of all good things that you did not fill, and cisterns dug that you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees that you did not plant, and you eat and are full. Then watch yourself, so that you do not forget Adonai, who brought you out from the land of Egypt, from the house of slavery. You must fear Adonai your God, and serve him, and only swear by his name. You must not go after other gods, the gods of the peoples around you. For Adonai your God is in the midst of you, and is a jealous God. Otherwise the anger of Adonai your God will be kindled against you, and he will wipe you from the face of the earth. You are not to test Adonai your God as you tested him at Massah. Diligently keep the mitzvot of Adonai your God, and his testimonies and his statutes that he has commanded you. You are to do what is right and good in the sight of Adonai, so that it may go well with you, and you may go in and possess the good land that Adonai swore to your fathers, to drive out all your enemies from before you, as Adonai has spoken. When your son asks you in time to come, saying, "What are the testimonies and the statutes and ordinances Adonai our God commanded you?" then you are to tell your son, "We were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, and Adonai brought us out from Egypt with a mighty hand. Before our eyes Adonai showed signs and wonders great and terrible upon Egypt, on Pharaoh and all his house. Then he brought us out from there so that he might bring us in, to give us the land he swore to our fathers. Adonai commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Adonai our God, for our good always, to keep us alive, as is the case this day. It will be righteousness if we take care to do all this commandment before Adonai our God, just as he has commanded us." Chapter 7. When Adonai your God brings you into the land you are entering to possess, and drives out many nations before you, the Hittite and the Girgashite and the Amorite, the Canaanite and the Perizzite, the Hivite and the Jebusite, 7 nations more numerous and mightier than you, and Adonai your God gives them over to you, and you strike them down, then you shall utterly destroy them. You are to make no covenant with them, show no mercy to them. You are not to intermarry with them. You are not to give your daughter to his son, or take his daughter for your son, for he will turn your son away from following me to serve other gods. Then the anger of Adonai will be kindled against you, and he will swiftly destroy you. Instead, you are to deal with them like this: tear down their altars, smash their pillars, cut down their Asherah poles, and burn their carved images with fire. For you are to be a holy people to Adonai your God. From all the peoples on the face of the earth, Adonai your God has chosen you to be his treasured people. It is not because you are more numerous than all the peoples Adonai has set his love on you and chose you, for you are the least of all peoples. Rather, because of his love for you and his keeping the oath he swore to your fathers, Adonai brought you with a mighty hand and redeemed you from the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that Adonai your God, he is God, the faithful God who keeps covenant kindness for 1,000 generations with those who love him and keep his mitzvot, but repays those who hate him to their face, to annihilate them. He will not hesitate with him who hates him. He will repay him to his face. Therefore you are to keep this commandment, both the statutes and ordinances that I am commanding you today, to do them.